the landscape that we're moving into. People who are leaving relationships, people who are losing jobs, people who are feeling like something is being destroyed, that tower moment. It's because the temperance card comes in. It's time to regulate our time. It's time to balance everything before that void will be filled with what is destined for you.
You've also said that lots of people are being asked right now to accept their mission. Why do you feel that has been coming through so strongly for us and for the collective?
Because we're going to need it through this new revolution that we're going through. I mean, with technology, it's like another industrial revolution where there's going to be amazing advancements, but that is also going to make some things obsolete for people, where they thought that life was going to go one way, technology can take over and do another way, do it more efficiently. For me, that's not taking away, that's forcing us to actually activate our gifts even more.
Hello, beautiful humans. Before we dive into today's transmission, I wanted to share something very special and meaningful with you. I've been working on something new for the last few months, and I honestly haven't talked about it in public until now. It's been in the making for a while, and I can't really say too much right now, but honestly, it's one of the most important things that I've ever built. This project is designed to take everything that we talk about here to the next level. If you've ever felt that you've been ready for more, if you feel like there's a missing piece to all of this, then this is for you. Shortly, I'm gonna host my first ever live event where I'm gonna reveal what all of this is about. It's free, but you need to sign up. There's a link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on screen right now. It's happening very soon, and I want everyone to be a part of this very sacred moment. This is for us. Enjoy the episode, and I love all of you so much. Gaia Chinniah, welcome back on Just Tap In. As we've always begun our conversations, what are you most excited about right now globally and in your life?
I'm most excited, Emilio, about how we are being asked to diversify. I feel like we're all being called to be more courageous and brave. And that word diversification has been coming through with Spirit a lot. This is time to diversify. And so as everyone's listening to this, how are you going to diversify? It's not enough just to have all our eggs in one basket anymore. And it's not about spreading ourselves so thin that we can't sustain ourselves. It's about diversifying in a way where we are humanizing our soul experience by being here at a time of such great technological change, but Spirit is still wanting us to connect back to staying human, which is really interesting coming from a soul progression therapist, because, you know, my job is up in the clouds a lot, but it's like really experiencing the human journey, and diversification is one of the biggest things that I'm most excited about at this time for all of us on an individual scale as well as a global scale.
Great investing advice as well. So this is about to be a spiritual and business podcast.
I think it might be. I think a lot of people are applying, you know, all of it to their business lives and to their where they're employed and spiritually as well, because it is a time of such great change that we are really being stretched to figure out who we are and what we're meant to be doing.
Definitely. And you know, right now we're approaching we're a little bit over the halfway mark of the year 2025. As we're presently recording this, we're approaching a powerful cosmic window of the 8/8 Lionsgate Portal. And I'm wondering for you, from your perspective as a multidimensional seer that can see across timelines, what are you feeling into particularly for this portal that we're entering in 8/8 in August? What has been coming up for you as themes or maybe energies that you would like to share with us right now?
I think the biggest thing is a revolution is coming. And this revolution is, yes, on a big scale, but the revolution is also in the individual that's going to be walking through this cosmic gateway. Because as I mentioned, with diversification, sure, in a business sense, spiritual sense, human sense, all of that. But this is a time of more truth. And I feel like, even through the types of clients that Spirit has been sending me, and as I travel across the timelines to see, well, what is the timeline that is greatly impacting you here? People have been really stuck, really, really stuck in their situations and stepping through into this new revolution, into this new gateway is really going to be putting us in a situation where we have to be very, very brave, where we have to start putting up these boundaries around us, boundaries not to destroy or create distance, but boundaries to protect. We're kind of noticing in the world, there's a lot of people shining their light with their gifts and what their contributions are. And Spirit, a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, I was meditating and they said to me, you need to teach your clients how to put the love wall up. And I was like, what's the love wall? And they said, well, this is the new type of boundary. It's a boundary that isn't creating a barrier. It's a boundary that's creating space for you to grow. And so as we go into this new portal, this new cosmic gateway, there's going to be more space for us to grow. And so to give you a case study, because I like to make these sessions that we do for the listeners and the watchers applicable to their day-to-day lives. I was with a client recently, and I, as I always say, I don't know my clients. I don't know anything about them, but I traveled to a realm where this person had a bounty on their head. A bounty on their head. And I was thinking, this is so interesting. This is a wanted person, a wanted soul. And I questioned. I was like, what is this person wanted for? They're wanted for their gifts. People don't want the gifts to come out. So therefore, they are holding this person. There's a bounty on this person's head to be captured for money. And so when I came and brought it back to the human level, and I was speaking to her, I said, you are trapped between two groups because you can't shine, because both are trying to hold you back. And she said, that is absolutely true. She said, I'm stuck between my husband and my family because they both want me to take a side and I can't. And she said, I can't express who I am because I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to feel joy, but I am not feeling that. And the guidance for all of us is that we have the power to find that within ourselves, because as the light workers, what we feel inside is what we're going to be seeing outside, because the illusion is out here, the truth is in here. And so I feel like as we're going into this new revolution, this revolution where we're being asked to diversify, this revolution where we are freeing ourselves from the bounty on our head that we're a wanted person, we are being forced to shine our light even more, because we are moving into this time where people are getting really desperate, Emilio. And we can see that in the number, your banks are constantly sending out messages. There's so many scams going on, and we're all getting these messages on our phones, like, you need to pay a parking ticket. I mean, you were privy to what happened to me recently, where my social media was scammed, and the scammer had manipulated a post, and the social media bots had believed that post, and completely in a second, everything changed. In 1 second, everything changed. And I'm here, when I put it out there, the number of messages I got of people, oh my goodness, it's happened to me. It's like what I've built is being taken down. And I was thinking, okay, why has this happened? Why is this happening to so many people, where these structures are breaking down of what we've been creating? And then there's this space, there's this void. So again, coming back to what you are saying, we're going into this new landscape. And in this landscape, there's going to be a void. there's going to be a space. And so someone like me, and many of you might listen, can maybe resonate with this. Whenever there's a space, I'm always trying to fill it, Emilio. I'm trying to go, okay, there's a space there. I need to fill it with something. I need to replace it with something. But what I learned through this journey of losing the social media, because it's such a big platform for all of us to promote our work and whatever we're all doing and share and build a community. But just to show you that something like that can happen in 1 second, it all happened within a second, and then suddenly it's not there. What do we do if you apply that to your life or somebody else's life when something is just gone? We're left with the void. And in that void, Spirit has told me we need to hold that space. Hold that space until the truth is revealed. Because I was saying, yesterday, and I was saying to you before we started, my social media came back yesterday, and almost everybody, even the professional advice that I sought on what can I do to try and get justice, because I haven't done anything wrong. I've been a victim of a scam. Almost everybody said, you're going to have to start again. You're not going to get it back. But Spirit said, hold that space. Don't fill that void with anything, because what is meant for you will come back. Day before recording this, as you saw, my social media came back. And I just feel like the landscape that we're moving into, people who are leaving relationships, people who are losing jobs, people who are feeling like something is being destroyed, that tower moment. It's because the temperance card comes in. It's time to regulate our time. It's time to do things in moderation. It's time to balance everything before that void will be filled with what is destined for you. I had this amazing conversation with a friend of mine, and she's a beautiful healer, but in a different way. She has products. And I've never had this done, but I'm posing a question to both of us as well as those who are listening. She had the Nadi leaf reading in India, where it's all written in ancient Tamil, and Tamil's my native tongue. And everything is written there. Everything from when you are born, when you are going to die, all of that information. And I was thinking, just yesterday, if I knew when I was going to die, would it change the way I live? And so I was posing that question around me. If I knew when I was going to die, would it change the way I live? And because my friend found out when she was going to die. Now, she's about 20 years older than me. And so she has an established life where she said, I waited to this time to get that reading because I knew I wanted to do things in my life because it's so precise. And I don't think we all need to know when we're going to die, because we are humans here on earth. And I think part of that gift is figuring things out, what's going to be filled in that void as we move along. But I think we can hold on to that knowing that we will one day pass on. And this is our time to really be in that space of protecting our energy, knowing what our currency is now, currency that is beyond financial currency of energy protection, protecting what we are building. One of the things that I felt when social media went down is like, I can't protect myself from this, because this is, what can I do? But then over the weeks, as I saw my community come and bat for me, all of the people that reported this injustice, all of the people that were emailing saying, someone even emailed from the States saying, I will pay for legal advice for you here and get this sorted out for you, because I know that what you are doing for the world is coming from a pure place. When there is a void, you will see what you can receive. You will see what you can receive. So before you try and fill the void, relationship breaks down, I desperately need to find somebody else, I lose my job, I'm being kicked out of my apartment. Just sit in that discomfort of that void. You are being asked to diversify some way. You're being asked to moderate in some way, and you're being asked to trust.
Mm-hmm. One of the most powerful things about that experience with the social media was that being in that void allowed you to send a call out for help. And I received an email, hey, my Instagram went down. Can you help me out with this? And I'm like, for sure. And I think as empaths and people that are deep into this work, it's hard for us to ask for guidance, for help, for assistance. How did that void space of being in there call you forward to open up to receive even more from your community?
Do you know when I went to Peru and I had an experience with a shaman, that was the one thing he said to me, is that you need to learn how to receive more for yourself. And so when I did put the call out, what it does make you realize is who's actually going to be there for you and going to bat for you when there's a time of need, because we all are going to go through times in our lives where we can't resolve things on our own. And this is where the humanness came in that void, is that when I did reach out for help, and even when I didn't, you really see who was there for you, who was actually going to say, hey, I see that you're having an issue. Let me see what I can do. It really makes you soften in these type of situations where something you feel is being destroyed or taken away from you, that you feel powerless. Because usually when things like that happen, it's like when I see a client and they've experienced a death. What tends to happen in 99% of the situation is people will come even more guarded than what they would have prior to the death. And usually I have to question, because I'll be like, okay, let your guard down. Someone's died recently, because they've gone into that space of like, something's been taken away from me. But when something's been taken away from you from the human perspective, you're actually being given a key. And that key is to find where your power is. And your power is in the people, Emilio. Like, you've built your platform and it continues to grow. And I just do what I do, and whoever resonates with me can resonate with me, and I'm fine with that. But that power, that key to the people, is so important. And I think we talked about AI a little bit in one of our talks a couple of sessions ago. And while there's going to be so many benefits, one of the benefits is that we're going to be connecting more with people, because we're going to need that. We're going to need that. We're going to need the humanness. So whatever anybody who's listening to this is creating, and whatever is falling away and shedding, is because there's this new version of, sure, we can use technology. It's wonderful. I can talk to you in New Zealand while you're in Colombia, and we were laughing. It's Mercury retrograde and all these things going on. But it's the human connection that's going to be really important. So through this experience, one of the things I learned is to soften when something is going to try to make you hard, because that's the lesson. Because I could have potentially gone, I don't trust anything anymore, and nobody's here to help me, and just be a complete victim. Sure, I was a little bit for a moment. But then when I saw, like, okay, there's also the spirit's done this for a reason, because it's happening to so many people. People are getting scammed. People are losing to the shadows, the darkness that is coming out to pull the light away. But the light always wins. When you're doing things from a place of true integrity and purity, people will see that and they will reach out to help. And it's to soften, and that takes a courage to soften into that and allow yourself to receive the power that people have to help pull you out of a situation that you can feel powerless. And that's what I learned also through this experience, is that when we are feeling powerless or helpless, and sometimes we can all feel that way, and maybe that hasn't happened to some of us yet, but I think, I was laughing about this with one of my healer friends. As you become more spiritually evolved and wise, extreme human things do happen to you so that you learn how to be human again. Like, because we live up here all the time. And so things will happen, like a death will happen, or our house gets flooded, or we get scammed. And it's like, oh my goodness, I have to feel all the human emotions, which we are meant to. Then we look, rather than looking at where we are powerless, we find where we do have power, and the power's in the people, and our connections, and our support systems. And you will learn who is there for you and who you can really trust. And those are the people that we want to cherish and keep around us. And the diversification that I mentioned is that in the world that we're living in, things can just be destroyed, gone in a second. No one is immune to that happening. You know, relationships too. We can be in a relationship for 30 years and suddenly we're not. And this is why it's really important that we know where we can get our power through our support systems, that we can create spaces for our businesses and our work that is ours, that is protected. And we're going to need to be a bit like that and move smarter into the future. So I'm excited about it. It's not, I don't feel afraid for the future for any of us. I really feel it's an opportunity for us.
When I tune into that energy of knowing that something could be taken away from you at an instant, but just continuing to live your life fearlessly is courage. And it's so interesting because we just transitioned into Leo season. We have the Lionsgate coming up. So how has courage played out, do you feel, in the collective right now? How it's coming up for people to be in the face of these difficult decisions or challenges or experiences, human experiences, and still go through with that, still move forward in that way?
I mean, the courage that we are needing at this time is so significant that it's really rocking people's boats, because people are being asked to step up and do things in ways that they've never done, and breaking ancestral patterns as well, because things have been ingrained in us unknowingly that have inhibited our growth. Sure, our ancestors have power as well, like they did things differently from the way we did, but in our bravery now, it's actually really healing the DNA of everyone that's come before us and those that we do go on to create, whether it's our own children or those who seek us out for what we do, our special gifts and our services and our unique traits. And what this brings me to draw a case study on is that I had a client, and I traveled up to this dimension where this person had a terrible addiction to a substance in the most impacting timeline that I could see, that spirit was taking me to. And that addiction was still plaguing this person. And when I questioned the client, I said, have you had an addiction in this lifetime? And they said, yes, a bad one. I said, but now your brother's coming through saying they've got an addiction too. And she was like, yes, that is absolutely true. And the bravery here is that the person has overcome the addiction physically, but energetically, no, still trapped, still unable to find a love interest, which was her greatest desire, still unable to create a child, because what if that child has an addiction and I was a problem to my mom? And so now, and it's kind of like, that's where the bravery is seeing that you might have physically let go of something. Because a lot of people will come to me saying, you know, I've been single for 15 years, or I've been trying to have a child for 3 or 4 years. It's the energetic blueprint that is what is going to require that bravery to really cut that out now, by identifying what it is. And that can be hard. You'll need a practitioner sometimes to be able to go in there and see what that is. But you can do that yourself through meditation, through allowing the void to be there and not filling it. What is the energetic tie that is stopping me from moving forward? And that is the part that requires courage, because I often will see that people have physically done it in the human realm, but they spiritually haven't gone and cleared the energy behind it, or identified where it's still stuck in the addiction, while wasn't in the client anymore in terms of physically. It was still in the brother. The brother is still an active addict. And that was because I could see it. She didn't even tell me she had a brother. I could see it infiltrating into her. And that was stopping her. So again, I created a meditation on my app called the Love Wall, because Spirit told me to. And it's like putting the love wall up. These things that we do psychically, that we do energetically, have a profound impact on how our human journey continues on. Like, a lot of the work for me through getting my social media back was every time everyone said, no, you're not going to get it back. It's impossible. You can't get a hold on anyone. Legal advice was even saying that. But then I'd come back. Where is my energetic tie to this issue? The feeling of powerlessness. I can't do anything about the situation because it's out of my control. So Gaia, where have you got power? You've got power in the people that know you and believe in you. And it's the same for this client. She had to really come back to that courage of, she was so reclusive, but wanting people. Her courage now is to step out and meet those people, to know that that version of her is ready to be able to receive that. And I think that a lot of people are experiencing that in their own way because, these clusters of souls that come to me, even though they're all people that don't know each other, often there are themes every week. And I'll be like, oh my goodness, you're the fourth person this week with the same thing, because they've come from the same soul cluster. And spirit is like, right, this is where people are stuck at the moment. And so addiction's been a big thing that people are overcoming, but still stuck in that addict pattern, whatever the addiction is. It could be food, it could be anything, but it's like getting rid of that energetic pattern. And that's what you're really needing to think about is, who is still around me that's got it? Who is it? Me? Is it another realm? Is it someone in the bloodline that needs healing? Because often I will get ancestors coming through from that person's bloodline saying, I'm the one that had an affair. And so that's why she's carrying, or he's carrying the affair energy, and always getting people that don't choose this person because I'm the one that had the affair, but the energy is inside her. So it's like having to clear that part. And I just think it does require a lot of courage to start digging around here, because it can cause that discomfort. But then we've got that void to work with, which is the part that I'm excited about for all of us.
How would you invite a person into feeling into the themes of their own soul cluster so they could better understand the journey of their soul in this lifetime and what's been coming up, and also the ones of the people that surround them? Maybe it would be useful to go into how you understand soul clusters and then unfold it from there.
My understanding at this stage, and obviously, I always tell people I haven't studied anything spiritual. I've just learned over the years through what the number of people spirit sends to me. A lot of people will reach out after I do these podcasts saying, oh, it feels like you were talking about me. Was that my story? I'm like, that's the story of so many of you, because there are so many of you that come from the same star, the soul cluster. Because as we descend from the heavens to earth into the physical body, there's like sometimes when I look up, I'll see, all these new babies are coming in. Okay, so this means Spirit's going to be sending me new mothers to be able to clear them, to hold that frequency for this new being that's coming, this new wise being. So soul clusters to me are light knowledge that are coming from certain star systems that will all have a collective theme. And that theme will be in the power that you have. The theme will be in the lessons that you have. The theme will be in the experiences that you have. And so therefore, when clients come to me and I'm seeing these themes and I'm like, oh, wow, okay. All of these people this week have the same grandfather name, Gerald. And I'm like, this is insane. It's like, sometimes it is like that. And I think I'm going in crazy as the practitioner going, why am I hearing the same name over and over again? And it's because every single person scheduled that day has that one ancestor in common, but just a different star cluster. And so I feel like we're all got these clusters. And how I've been learning to identify it is what I said earlier. Outside is the illusion, right? Like we're going about our lives. We're seeing what is happening to us, what is happening for us, what our experiences are, who we meet. And that is a mirror image of you. And that is also when you have a fallout with your mom, or you're having issues with your dad, or you're not getting along with your sister. These things are predestined in some way, and we have the ability to acknowledge that and figure out whether it's through a practitioner or sitting with ourselves and really looking. Like, I like to sit in meditation and look at how I'm linked to people. Like, even a few days before coming on here, I always prepare energetically for both of us to have an impactful conversation, not just for ourselves, but for all of the people that are going to watch and receive from us. We are receiving from them also. And it's like, I like to sit in meditation and look at where my lines of energy are going. Do I want my line of energy to go to that person? Do I want my line of energy to go to that experience? And the lines will appear in different colors. So if you allow yourself to see the colors, you'll know what that means to you, because we're all unique. So if I see like white light connected to someone, I'm like, oh, okay, there's a thread that connects me to Emilio. And this is why we're having another conversation, because there's another download that we need to provide for everybody. But then if I see someone I'm trying to protect myself of is pulling on my energy, this is where the energy vampires, again, part of my currency now is my energy is really important, who I have around me. Spirit giving us experiences to show us who is really there for you. We can then just cut the cords and be like, I'm releasing that back with love and light to you. And you can do that with people who are in the physical realm or not. And that's an easy way, like just to sit in that space and just see, okay, I'm not going to force this to happen, but where are my lines of energy going? Who is it going to? And it's very important, like the word I'm getting now is in the preservation of who we are and our purity, the preservation of our light, the preservation of our gifts. We need to preserve that, just like how we would, like I know with my mom friends, or even my mum the other day sent me a photo and she said, what do you recognize on me? And I said, I made you that jewelry when I was a teenager. And she said, yes, and I'm wearing it now. She preserved that memory through those jewelry, the beads that I strung for her when I was a teenager. And it's like the preservation of some things, but the shedding and the letting go so that the void can be there. And we can do this all through our visualization and our meditation. And, if you can't get to a practitioner or you can't afford to get to a practitioner, you can sit and do it yourself. And I just feel like this is a really important time to be preserving so that we can create something new with this new timeline that we're moving into. Like you said, this Leo energy, the courage to be who we are, and knowing that we are not powerless.
Speaking about the threads that connect us, I would like to bring up some strong threads that connect us to other people through the energies of jealousy and envy, which we were talking about a little bit before we started recording. And I'd love to understand how you would advise someone to, or invite someone to alchemize those energies, because sometimes there are things that we can't control, how other people perceive us, how they view our work, what we're doing in the world, and how they feel a certain type of way about it. So in what ways would you move through and understand those threads from a higher perspective and possibly alchemize them so they're not constantly like affecting us in our daily life?
Yeah. I actually made a joke, and I think you'll know what this means. I said to my friend, kiss cam karma is going around because of the kiss cam. I said to her, kiss cam karma is going around. And the thing is,
CEO of the year.
So she laughed. I said, kiss cam karma is going around. It's like you're doing things that are unethical, immoral, hiding things. It's all coming out in ways like that, the kiss cam karma. So that's what I'm calling it. But for jokes aside, jealousy and envy is such a big thing that I see, Emilio. And I see it through clients too. Like when I travel to a time, like I saw a client recently, very powerful woman she was. And I didn't know what she did for work. I traveled and I could see her. This is what I could see. And I'm telling you this because it relates to what we're talking about. She was in a timeline. I went there and I was standing behind her and she was giving birth, but she was giving birth to something that was darkness and like an entity that wasn't a child of the light. It was just something that she had accumulated for years. And when I stepped into what she was giving birth to, It was envy and jealousy of everybody that had psychically attacked her because they didn't want her to be in her power. So when I brought this up for her, I said, do you not have a child? She said, no. She said, I desperately want one. I said, okay. I said, well, you've got jealousy and envy in your womb. That's not from you. It's from people that are looking at you because she was beautiful and she had major spiritual gifts. And she's like, I can't meet a partner. All of that. My business is not growing. And it was because of envy and jealousy. So once we removed that, I could feel the expansiveness, that void, which the space that can now be filled with what she desires and what she wants to create. So the guidance here is that unfortunately, we live in a world where people will compare. They will look and be, why do you have what you have? Why do you have these gifts and I don't? What makes you so special? And when we have that type of attack, just be wary that even a person thinking that is enough to penetrate and be a parasite and just take a chip off our armor, off our protection. And so it's very important that we all have our rituals and our systems in place to protect ourselves energetically. This is not to harm anybody. As I said, it's preserving ourselves because we are living in that world where the darkness is coming out through the scammers and through the people that don't like us and the people that don't want to actually see us for who we are. Not just you and I, I'm talking about all of us, don't want to see us for who we are because they are struggling. They've gone into that hard place where they've experienced hardship and loss and they've experienced betrayal, and they've gone into that hard place rather than that soft place because they didn't allow people to show them that actually you can get help. There are good people in the world that want to hold you and see you for who you are. Energy protection at this time is very, very important. And keeping things private. Like, I know everyone's different with this, and this is, again, nobody has to listen to me, but it's something that I've learned through my journey of helping a lot of people and for myself, is that sometimes sharing less is more. And like, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's not saying that you're trying to be secretive. It's like how women may not share that they're pregnant for several months because they're protecting that space. They're protecting that space for whatever needs to grow and to happen to naturally do that. And then when it becomes obvious, you tell people, or it becomes obvious. And I feel that's really important in the times that we're going in, is that share what you are comfortable with and share what you want. Like, there's no judgment here around what you're sharing. But if you are creating something and it's not yet birthed into the world, let it do that naturally. Let people see naturally what you're bringing in without having to tell people, oh, this is what I've got and this is what's coming. It will come naturally, and that is going to be your power in preserving what you've got and protecting yourself energetically. So you can just do that, protecting your energy spiritually, focusing on light around you. But I also think, in the times that we're moving into, you want to have a healer under your belt that can help you negate that energy. Also, someone that you really trust, someone that has got your back, that will help you move that energy aside. It's like what I was telling you before we came online and recorded. My grandmother used to be that person for me. Every time before I'd enter her house, she would do an evil eye ritual for me, like for a few minutes. Unfortunately, I don't have her physically anymore, but find the people that can do that, going back to these indigenous ancient cultures that had these rituals in place for a reason. They're these ancient rituals because they know, like even in my culture, you'll see babies with a big black dot on the forehead that the mother or grandmother has drawn on. That is to ward off the evil eye from that child. And so these are things that have been done for thousands of years because there is a reason for it. And while there is so much opportunity and light we're moving into, light will also amplify the darkness, and protecting ourselves from that is really important. So I feel like we do need to take that extra time to have rituals in place, bathing, cleansing ourselves. You'll have to find what works for you. Like over the years, I've had to try different things that work for me that are not too time consuming, but there are very effective practitioners out there that have really got your back, that can do that for you from time to time, just to keep you clear.
Mm. And I know you were mentioning that you come from this culture of the evil eye, and that got me really curious when I first heard about it, because I'm wondering almost if there's such thing as a benevolent eye, in the sense of, maybe we have our guides, we have people in our life that really do genuinely want us to succeed and do well and grow and evolve. How does that energy affect our timelines and where we go in our life?
The benevolent eye is the eye that keeps us all going. It's the eye that brought my social media back. It's the eye that will show you the way. The benevolent light and eye will always win. The maleficent eye that is shown to us is the evidence that we need to protect ourselves. And we're going to be seeing more of that evidence of unequal power dynamics and exploitation and scamming. But the benevolent eye is what will supersede all of that. Because, when I work with people, the spirit guides are the guides that come in first, and they are coming in with frequencies and downloads and transmissions that are going to help progress that person on their path. And sure, I'm doing that on purpose because I'm with a client and that's how I work. But we all have guides around us. And I think that in trusting that they are there and asking them to show you every day, show me, guides, show me that I'm looked after, show me that you are hearing me, show me that you've got my back. You will see. You have to believe, but you will see. And that's why I said, when I got emails from people saying, I'm going to pay for legal advice to get advice for you, and I'm going to do this and that, I was like, wow, this is the benevolent eye that's showing me that there is someone watching over that's greater than what we think. And I feel like as we're overcoming our fear, as we're overcoming, what's shedding, these old realities and these old illusions, the benevolent eye will be showing itself and pulling us out, like the hand that reaches down to pull us out of our situations to show us the way. And you really have to believe and have that knowing. And you will know that you believe, even if your brain is sabotaging you. And that's something that Spirit wanted me to mention on this podcast. Everyone's minds are really telling them all kinds of stories at the moment. But if you have expansion in your body, you know that you are actually on the right track. Because even with me, as spiritually connected as I am, the mind sometimes just does go off on another tangent, and I have to pull it back into that expansion. And that expansion is the benevolent eye. That expansion is showing you that there is a space that is going to be filled if you just leave it. It's like people looking for a relationship. They will be filling their space and time with, I need to go out and I need to do this and I need to do that. Just sit with that aloneness. Just sit with that void and leave the space for that person, for the thing to come in. It's the same thing with this. That is the benevolent eye, the eye that watches us, whether it's God, whether it's like, for me, the culture that I come from, there's so many different deities and gods and goddesses that represent different things. And, there's every week there's rituals and ceremonies for one or another. And, like in my culture, there are rituals and pujas that you can do to clear off, like we said, the evil eye, or if you're having any trouble at the moment, there are things that you can do, but you can do that within your own faith. Like I always tell my clients, keep your faith, whatever that is. It's not about suddenly, this is the thing with diversification, is that we can be diverse together. Like, why can't you be this and I be that, but we still have the people power together? And for me, that is the benevolent eyes, people that can diversify. Like my friend group is so diverse that people will be like, how do you all know each other? Everyone's different ages, everyone does different things. And it's because the one thing that keeps us all in common is loyalty and trust in each other and in everything. So I feel like everyone watching this, there is someone watching over you. There are guides watching over you that actually really are stepping in to help you. And in your powerlessness, if you are going through that, there is a key to something more. There is a key to something more.
You've also said that lots of people are being asked right now to accept their mission. Why do you feel that has been coming through so strongly for us and for the collective?
Because we're going to need it through this new revolution that we're going through. I mean, with technology, it's like another industrial revolution where there's going to be amazing advancements, but that is also going to make some things obsolete for people, where they thought that life was going to go one way, technology can take over and do another way, do it more efficiently. But for me, that's not taking away. That's forcing us to actually activate our gifts even more. Like I had a client recently, and amazing client, and I traveled to another realm where I could see that this person could perform miracles. This person could really help heal people. And when I came down back to her, she said to me, I do know I have those abilities, but she said, I'm just too afraid to step out. What will people think of me? And, you know, what about people who are envious and don't want me to do this because they see me doing this job now, and then suddenly I'm who do I think I am by helping people? But that's the thing. That's part of the courage of, you know, if we think of Jesus, he was a carpenter, and it was someone that was a layman, and there were so many gifts and powers. And that's the thing, like there are many people out there that may think you're irrelevant or nothing, but you're not. You've actually got this ability to accept your mission now. And it doesn't mean that you have to be helping thousands of people and turning it into some big thing. I sometimes think that's destined for some people. But it is really important in the times that we're moving through and into that you are having your own revolution by revealing to yourself what it is that you've been lying dormant with and expressing that in some way. Expressing that, whether it's through your creativity, through your voice, through your written word, through your body movement, through everything. It's that mission is needed for the human touch that is going to be required as technology advances, because people are going to be craving that humanness, and you've got it. You've got it. And that can only be done by a person. And that's what's going to be the beautiful thing of how all of this is going to work together. More and more people are going to be made to step out into their gifts even more, because they have no choice. And that's what I love about when things happen. When we have no choice, we have to be brave.
Such a powerful message. And from there, it's so related, this next topic of what is the greatest insight that you've received around legacy?
Legacy is such a powerful word. And I often hear people saying, you know, no one's going to remember me, so why do I even bother leaving a legacy? And then there are others who their children are their legacy. But if we look at, you know, because we are speaking from a spiritual space, from a space of we are humans having a soul experience, but equally a human experience, I feel like legacy is left in the energy that we leave behind. It's not necessarily, that could be in a child, that could be in a business, that could be in the podcast that will remain online way after Emilio's gone. I feel like it's the energy that we leave behind. And so, you know, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it talks about preparing the soul to leave in a way that is going to be beneficial for its next realm. And even in my culture, all the prayers that are done after a physical death is to have the soul find its way and have everything that it needs. And if we think about that, if we fulfill our missions as much as we can, some of us will be coming back, some of us won't be coming back because it depends on what our destiny is here. It's the energy that you leave behind. So you want to be able to get to the end of your life and feel like I was me. I did everything I could. I lived my life the way that I wanted to, with truth, dignity, integrity, honesty, and loyalty, and I was pure. That is enough to hold the space for the next realm of souls coming to Earth to take over and continue on that legacy of, it's like fertilizer, like for soil. You put fertilizer in the soil and then you plant your seeds. If the fertilizer's not good in the soil, your seeds are not going to grow. We are the fertilizer for the next revolution of people, the next evolution, the next cycle. And however we leave our legacy, it doesn't really matter, because small or big, we all have the opportunity to touch people and help people and be inspiring, Emilio. Like, I always think, do I inspire myself? How can I inspire other people if I'm not inspired? And I just think that inspiration is a really important part of legacy. Is like, I can talk to an 85-year-old client and I think, wow, I want to grow up to be like you. You are so inspiring to me. That, for me, that person doesn't know they've left a legacy with me from their from their legacy. And and that, for me, it's the energy. It's not necessarily getting so caught up in what we're leaving behind. It's how we are leaving behind.
Yeah, the chiefs and the leaders in Native American tribes, they have a concept where every decision that they make has to be beneficial for 7 generations into the future. And when I look at the current leadership, I don't think decisions are made in that way necessarily. We talked a little bit off air about systems and creating the systems for the new earth and the future. I'd love to start with leadership in terms of how you see that system of leadership evolving so that we can encompass, facilitating legacy through the decisions that we make individually and with our leadership and the people that we look up to or are inspired by. How do you feel that that's shifting right now?
I absolutely love how Native American chiefs had that in mind. It had this decision has to be considering 7 generations, because for sure most people are not thinking that way in this timeline. And I feel like as we are leading ourselves in our lives, we and those of us who have members and followers and clients and whoever, even in a corporate organization leading the way, it's very important that we form these microcosms of communities as we go forward. Because, like I said, with this diversification that Spirit kept talking to me about before I came here, it's like, your community and my community. Like, I went to a spiritual event some months ago, and it was for a channeler. And when I walked in, the number of people that were coming up to me and saying, oh my goodness, you're Gaia. And I was thinking, oh, wow, I didn't realize that this was going to happen. But then my brain went like, of course it's going to happen, because this person's community overlaps with my community, because the leadership is in the same way. It's just same, but different, because this person is channeling really important messages for humanity. And I'm doing that in my own way because I'm a different person. And I feel like as we are leading our families, and you'll look at this also in if we're bringing this back to a level of within our homes and our relationships, you'll notice that there's always going to be a power dynamic. Someone will maybe be more influential in the relationship than the other person at times, because we're all going through our human thing. Sometimes I might be feeling more vulnerable and I need my partner to step up and make more decisions. It's in those moments that we can see if we as leaders can relinquish control to be led by somebody else also, because I always believe a leader should lead from the front. And that means not being in the front and controlling, but pushing the people forward, empowering them, empowering individuals. And that's the world that we don't live in, or very rarely, is that we're not being empowered to make our own decisions and come back to our sovereign power and our sovereign knowing that this is what I want and this is what's right for me. We get influenced by peer pressure or influenced by systems. So I feel like we're all being given an opportunity to create a system within our home, within our work, our business, our organizations, wherever this applies to you, your dance school, whatever, of being the inspiration that empowers people. And then when it's time to let that person lead, you are okay with that, because that's what a real leader does, is they delegate and trust. It's like being like, I have a couple of people that work for me, and I always say, I'm not micromanaging you guys. This is what needs to be done. I'm empowering you to do that. Is trusting that person to do that. Because like, say we're giving a brief to a graphic designer, I will let my graphic designer just design whatever she wants without giving her a brief, because I want to see what she will create that my brain hasn't thought about. To me, that's true leadership, is trusting the other that you have got in your community or in your family to make decisions that are right for them. Of course, as children, we need guidance and boundaries. I'm not necessarily talking about that. But as adults, we try and control one another and we try and dictate to one another, and we want to make people become like us. Be you. I had this conversation actually the other day, and I was saying I couldn't imagine anything worse by being in a relationship with someone who's the same as me. I really couldn't. Like when I set out on my soul journey, I wanted someone that was different. I didn't want someone the same culture. And this is a controversial topic, because most people be like, I want the same this and I want the same that. I didn't want the same culture. I didn't want the same anything, because I wanted to learn something new and be different. And that's the thing with the diversification that we're going into, is can we be ourselves and still be together? That's true leadership. Not saying we all have to be the same. Can we be ourselves and be together? Like in a relationship, for example, sure, you want the same values and some of the same likes and things so you get along. But if you're going to teach me something new, oh my goodness, amazing. I wouldn't go hiking if it wasn't for you, or I wouldn't go and do this if it wasn't for you. I wouldn't sit and meditate because it wasn't for you. You wouldn't have opened my eyes up. That's not going to happen in a community or in a relationship where everybody's the same. But the values and the core beliefs need to be. But let your people shine in who they actually are, because that to me is how they will be inspired to continue on, and how you are doing your job by empowering them, whatever your job is, as a mother, father, whatever. And I just feel like that is really where leadership needs to go, and the systems that we're creating is letting people just be themselves. We all have the same values and beliefs. Keep your faith, but teach me something new as a leader. You teach me something new, Emilio. I know I'm not always going to be the teacher. You be open to being the student also, because, wisdom comes from animals. Wisdom comes from children. Wisdom comes from sitting at the cafe having a tea and someone walking up to me and smiling and saying whatever they want to say. I'm like, I really needed to hear that today. You knew I needed to hear that today. So I just think that leadership for us who are consciously leading need to consider that rather than looking for the same as you, look for a mirror of you with a value as the foundation to grow from. A similar foundation to grow from and grow together.
What's the greatest value that anchors you personally, Gaia?
I think the greatest value that anchors me is that, it's so simple, really. It's honesty. And like when I had that conversation around, do I want to know when I'm going to die? The honest answer is not right now. I probably don't want to know when I'm going to die. But I want to be able to face that truth at some point when I'm ready for it. And I feel like the value of honesty is being able to handle the truth no matter what that looks like. The truth of that you are seeing something that you need to let go of, the truth that you are seeing an opportunity and you need to have the courage to step into it, the truth that you're hearing something about yourself that is the truth, and you know that that's something that you need to work on. And like, you know, my partner says to me, Emilio, you can handle me saying anything. And I said, yeah, I can handle that, because you need to be able to handle the truth. So truth and honesty hand in hand for me goes with the good, bad, and the things that make me not feel so good. That is areas that I need to work on. It's a simple value, but I feel like that's the premise for everything, and why many people do come to seek my services, because they know that that's what they're going to get. They're going to get honesty, regardless of what it looks like. They know they're going to leave there with me, just being me, and what I'm really feeling about their situation and what they need to do about it. So yeah, it's a simple value, but I think like kiss cam karma, you know, if you're not going to be I hope you're going to start using kiss cam karma, Amelia.
Trademark
But,
Gaia.
yeah. But, you know, if you're not being honest with each other, and it takes so much bravery to say things to people sometimes, but say it to yourself first. You know, people lie to themselves and say all kinds of things. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not. And we all have those days, but that expansive space that tells you the truth, that actually you are amazing, that you want to be in an environment where people honor you and will tell you that, you know, validate for you that what you're doing is wonderful, which helps, doesn't it? It helps when we get validation, like actually we value you. We're so happy that your social media's come back. We missed you. Tell people those things. That's honesty too. You know, I hear from clients all the time that, oh, you know, I thought everything was going well at work, and my client said to me, oh, you're doing great. And then my boss calls me into the office saying that that same client that said to me I was doing great actually has made a complaint about me. Why can't you just be honest and just say in that moment, like, you know, my assistant at home, she says to me, she said, I've never worked for someone who just tells me the way that it is every day. She said, I don't feel like there's passive aggression, or you just tell me every day. And I was like, yeah, of course, because I said, I'm not going to dance around anything that needs to be said. I said, same goes for you. I said, if I'm doing anything, you need to tell me the truth. So honesty and truth are all interwoven into the same tapestry for me.
And one thing is our capacity to speak the truth. A whole nother thing is learning how to receive the truth. And I'm really curious that this question came up as you were speaking of what's one truth about the universe and life itself that was the hardest for you to swallow when you first came across it?
I think because when my work eventuated and I accepted the mission, which is now almost 10 years ago, I think the hardest truth that I had to learn personally and accept, and this is going to sound a bit weird, but for me, it was even when you do your best, it's sometimes not good enough for people. And when I say that, it is coming from a place of, obviously, when we're putting anything out in the world, whether it's a product we've created or a podcast or a whatever, there are going to be some people who can't, like, I'll be excited about something and put it out, and someone will say something that they don't like about it or criticize it. As long as you are happy with it and it came from you and you want that, still execute and do what you want. But I think one of the hardest truths, and this is probably an egoic truth, is that sometimes it's just not going to be good enough for people. And so therefore we shouldn't live by what people think, which is very, very hard. So for example, I can see a client and I know that I've done everything I can to try and get through to this person because I've got a limited period of time to really nail it home. Like, this is the issue. This is what you need to work on. This is what I've cleared. Sometimes that person will go away and fixate on something that I've said that was totally irrelevant because they just wanted to hear what they wanted to hear. They didn't want to hear the truth. So even when you've done your best, it's sometimes not good enough because people will fixate wanting to hear what they wanted to hear, which is what you said. Speaking the truth is one thing. Receiving it is a whole other thing. And for me, it's two ways sometimes. I will speak whatever truth comes through me because it's not me. I don't know my clients. But their truth will be responding in a way that I didn't get this because she didn't validate that particular thing that I wanted. But that was the truth they wanted to hear. It's not necessarily the cosmic truth of what actually needs to be addressed. So I think that there's a lot of things tied into that response to your question. We still need to do what we need to do, put things out in a way that we are happy with, but know that the right people will receive it at the right time for them, not for you. And we have to let that go. We have to let go how things are received.
Right now, humanity is at a precipice and at a tipping point of evolution. And I'm curious to know, what truth do you feel that humanity as a whole is still avoiding as we're going through this journey of ascension and evolution?
I think that the truth that humanity is avoiding, we may have all made decisions in the past that we thought was the right thing. And I think that the truth that humanity is avoiding is actually seeing that experience, that situation for what it was. Because it's, again, an egoic thing. It's very rare for us to want to be told, I told you so. And I think that as we're moving into a time where people are really waking up, where they're seeing miracles happening, where they're seeing evidence, they're seeing truths coming out, they're seeing things that they didn't believe happen. Sometimes it can be very hard for humanity to believe that who we listened to, whether that be in the family or whatever, was actually not the right thing for us. And so I feel like people are still avoiding that, but I do feel that we're coming to the point, again, coming back to that sovereign power, that actually that doesn't feel right for me. So I do feel like, even though you've asked me what truth humanity is avoiding, there is an outcome to this. People are starting to see who the benevolent energies are and who the maleficent energies are. And I think that that's why it's a really revealing time. And we might have to do some healing. And I do get this with clients that have made decisions based on what a parent said or what they thought was the right thing to do, and then have now decided, like, actually, why did I do that? I just thought it was the right thing to do. I believed that person. I believed my community. And now I realize that wasn't me. I was brainwashed or I was influenced. And sometimes I see other timelines where people are mesmerized or under a spell or a hypnotic thing. And I'm having to clear that so that person can actually see their power. And I feel like that's a part that people have been avoiding, but it's starting to rectify itself, where people are seeing that they are the truth of information themselves, not outside of you.
One of the things that grounds me after, a spiritual exploration like the one that we're having right now is sometimes I go in and dabble into a little reality TV. And recently I was watching Love Island, the most watched reality show on earth right now, basically. And it's very interesting because you see a lot of the shadows of humanity within these shows. And it's really interesting to witness. But one of the things that came up on this latest season, and I'm not going to spoil anything for people, but is some of the participants were, found that they had said some racial slurs in the past, and they were immediately removed from the show. And I feel like accountability is something that especially the young generations are holding toward, people that they have been in positions of influence and power, of taking accountability. And here's the thing where I wanted to, create a question and go into this topic of what's the difference between, saying we're not defined by our past actions and what we did in the past versus taking accountability for something that we did or we said or we created, in the past as well. What is your take on that?
Well, firstly, we're all humans, and I think we all say things when we're upset, when we're angry, when we feel powerless, when we feel helpless. We've all done it. I've done it, said things that I wish I hadn't said. And I think that when we take accountability for our past actions, and especially like in the work that I do, delving into other timelines and seeing what's impacting you here. And similar to, I've never watched Love Island, by the way, but I've heard lots about it. But, and comparing it to what you've asked me, when we take accountability to things, we're actually resolving and healing the defensiveness that it does cause in diversity. Like, for example, as a dark-skinned female, there was a need to prove for a long time, and that sometimes rears its head when I feel like something's been taken from me. And I feel like if the people that had called me horrible names at primary school, or that didn't want to put their books on top of mine in case the brown wore off, those children were learning it from somewhere, right? Because they were children. Children don't see color or see any difference. But I think if people actually start being accountable that I was wrong, I didn't know how to accept someone different, wasn't open to receiving your knowledge and wisdom, it changes the energy behind it, Emilio, not just for the person that perhaps said those racial slurs, but it changes the energy for the receiver of that, even if they don't ever see that person again. Like, so for example, 42-year-old version of me can remember who the children were that, gave me a hard time, or the skinheads that nearly ran me and my mum over one day when I was 6 because they were trying to frighten us. If those people actually energetically resolved it, we would feel that. We would feel that and the victims that have experienced that. And then we wouldn't have that need also to prove ourselves or have defensiveness that, oh, you're looking at me because I'm different. Because I sometimes still have that because I grew up in that time frame of, being the only dark-skinned girl at school. And so sometimes I go into a space going, oh, okay, I'm the only one that looks like this here. But that's on me. That's my issue because that's how I was programmed. But if someone had taken accountability and apologized, even if it isn't directly to me, we will feel that because like that thread of connection, it would start to dissolve. You're not holding me to that person that needs to prove herself anymore, or that feels like I need to be defensive and protect myself. And I just feel like accountability is really important, and people have more compassion now to be able to accept, because they're seeing the truth of humans, that we sometimes get angry and say things, or we feel like someone's trying to take away something. So I feel like accountability energetically is forgiveness. It's forgiveness. It's forgiveness in a way that we may not see it, but energetically it will be healing all of us that was connected to how that person potentially made us feel by making those comments when they did from whatever place that came from. I think we all need to be accountable and apologize when we do recognize that a mistake was made. And it doesn't have to be a face-to-face apology, just inside forgiveness is enough.
Yeah, I see that it's almost like the energy that pairs with accountability is what you said, forgiveness, when it's coming from a heart space, not just an intellectual apology that was written on ChatGPT, which happens more often than not nowadays.
Yeah.
One of the last things I wanted to touch on with you is that you've said that after chaotic periods in humanity, there is this period of what you call perfection. I wanted to understand that a little bit more deeply of what that has looked like, maybe in past times, and how you feel after what is going on in the world right now. On the other side of that, how do you see the energy shifting and moving to something that we can look at the world and say, I'm happy to be here. I'm proud that this is the world that we created.
You know, there's the saying, the calm before the storm, but after the storm, there's also calm. And I think chaos in our own lives or in the world, regardless of the scale that we're talking about, really brings out the best in people, brings out the worst in people too. But it does bring out the best because everyone is starting at the same place. There is no hierarchy. There is no I'm better than you. There is this space that we're all starting out from where it balances. This is the temperance card, the moderation. It balances things out. And when I talk about this perfection, often when things happen, destruction, the tower card, everything falls away and we're like, oh gosh, why has that happened? I'm so upset. I feel like my whole life is destabilized. When you sit with it long enough, there is a simplicity that comes from that space. Like my, very insignificant experience of losing social media for a few weeks and not knowing if I'd ever get it back. In that, after about a week, I actually felt a sense of peace. I felt a sense of acceptance. I felt a sense of this is an opportunity to start again in a different way. And I feel like that is what it's going to happen as we go through all this chaotic stuff in the world, wars and, all kinds of whatever is going on, which I don't watch the news or listen to the news. But there is this opportunity to pull together and start again. And I feel like that in itself is perfection. Like when my grandmother passed away, Emilio, she died with nothing, really. Nothing, no house, no anything. And you could look at that in a sad way, but I actually thought, wow, that is the perfect way to pass, where there is no complication, nothing. We just tended to the physical body, grieved, mourned her. Sometimes in that nothing space, there is everything. And I feel like that is the perfection. Like as we go through chaotic times, maybe things are being taken away because there's something more that's coming. And it may not be here on earth. It may be another people who are passing over. It may be another realm. It may be another experience because earth is not the main event. But it is an opportunity. It is an opportunity for all of us. And I know everybody's got something going on. Everyone's got something going on in their lives that they're healing from and overcoming. And that is chaos. But through the chaos, there's so much more resilience, togetherness, hope, and transformation. And we can create that individually at home first.
Definitely.
It's really important. We have to bring ourselves back to that space if the world is to change, which it will.
Yeah. It starts in our own home before it can ripple out.
And we need those simple reminders sometimes, Emilio, that it does start with us. Like I always know when I'm expansive inside and not restricted, when I feel, even if, horrible things are going on and I'm trying to figure out what, fighting the fires of day-to-day life, that space, coming back to where we began, that void, what is left after chaos? Debris, ashes, but we all can rise from that.
Yeah. Gaia, every conversation is more powerful than the previous one. I could speak to you all day, every day. Thank you for being such a light. Before we finish, as you know, we end every episode with a segment called The Final Trio. Before that, where would you send people to connect with you, your work, your community, all the beautiful offerings that you have out in the world? Where would you send us to do that?
You can go to my website, which is www.soul33.com, and you can go to your app stores and download my app, which you just search Soul33, and there's meditations on there, and there's digital oracle cards and all kinds of things to help you progress. But those are the two main places to go, Emilio.
Amazing. We'll link everything in the show notes as always. And for the final trio, of course, these are personalized questions to each guest. The first one being, what has been a major life experience that ignited your belief in miracles?
There's been so many that I probably couldn't pick one. But on my recent trip to Peru, I went with no expectations to be guided by the land. And the miracle one of the main miracles I experienced was sitting in a group of 20 people I've never met before and being picked out as the single individual by the shaman to stay behind at the end, who told me exactly what the reason, the issue that I was having, of why I traveled to Peru in the first place. And to me, I didn't go with any expectation. And so, yes, you're asking me personally, but as a teacher, I can't help but make this a thing that everyone learns from. Sometimes not having expectations is when the miracle will come through, and not listening to the people that are saying you can't do it, it's not going to happen. Because if you want something enough and you do what you can and let it go, someone will see it and bring it to you, whether it's God, whether it's your guides, or whether it's a physical human guide. So for me, miracles happen when someone identifies in me what I need and I haven't had to say anything. They just know. And it's like in a group situation, or I'm out somewhere. So for me, that was one of the biggest miracles recently, is having the shaman pull me out to tell me exactly what I needed to hear, which left me in floods of tears, because that's why I was there.
It shows you the malleability of reality and how we're in a hologram where it's your higher self orchestrating and putting that shaman in your path and unlocking a code or a message or a key that will send you into more beautiful levels of the game, I would say. The second question I have for you, Gaia, is if someone listening to you right now is at the edge of a major soul decision, what would your higher self want them to hear?
If you are on the edge of a major soul decision, you already have done it by making that decision in the first place. And so there's nothing more to decide. Just act on it. And that is one thing that Spirit said to me, is that it's time to build. So that soul decision has been made. It's time to act on it. You've started the building block for something else. And this is something I see with clients a lot. They're thinking about it. They've decided, but they haven't taken the action. Take the action. You've already decided. This wouldn't be in your head now if it wasn't already pre-orchestrated for you, if it wasn't already predestined for you. So all you need to do is the physical part needs to act. Act.
And this is coming from someone that can see past, present, and future all at the same time. So there's weight to those
Absolutely.
words.
You need to act. And that is something that I do. Like when people see me do things and like, why is she the way that she is? I always act, Emilio, and I act without thinking. I act from knowing. I'll be like, okay. It's like when I first started going on television in my early 20s, I got an email saying they're looking for TV presenters. Before I even knew it, my fingers were just moving, going, yep, I'll do it. And then when I get to the studio, I'm like, oh God, I've never done this before. But I was a natural. And I was like, I already knew that when I made that decision that I would be able to do it. But I didn't overthink it. So that's part of it. It's time to act now, being in the present moment while the past and the future are all catching up.
Let me pull a quote from you saying, when my heart is leading, I don't overthink. So I'm just going to leave that there. And actually, when I look at the third question I have for you, it says, and I pre-write the final trio questions. It says, in the core of your heart, what do you know to be true about where humanity is headed?
In the core of my heart, I really feel that our existence is going to be more meaningful. When we look at people age chronologically, one of the biggest things I have seen or noticed in my personal life or with clients is they feel like nobody cares about them, that they have no purpose anymore, that they are not of value. And that's going to change for all of us because we can feel that at any age. So I feel like as we move through into the future, which is now anyway, our existence is going to hold more weight. There's more value that you are going to be noticing, that others are going to be appreciating. And like we said, so that when you do get to the end of your physical life, you can look back. I did that. I helped to create that. And now I pass it on, leaving behind that legacy. And so that's something I really feel in the core of my heart when I meet people and they're like, I just don't feel like I'm living my soul purpose and I don't know what to do. All that is going to become so much clearer for people because there's going to be a lot of time and space to pay attention. It's like the rishis who wrote those palm leaves in India thousands of years ago. There were no distractions. There was no time restrictions. There was no comparison. They just sat and received the information, which has carried weight thousands of years for all the people going and seeking out these leaves to find out all of the stuff, or seeking out all the healers that have information about your soul. And I think more and more people are going to have a lot more weight to their existence as they go forward. And that's what I feel in the core of my heart. You matter. Your existence matters. And that will be known to you, not ignored anymore. Actually, that makes me feel quite emotional saying that. Sorry.
Me too. It's because, I mean,
I just see it all the time with clients that they just think that they don't matter or they're not good enough. It's just not true. Your existence really does matter.
Yes. And I feel the emotion in your words, and thank you for going there and taking us to that space of your care and your respect for humanity. Really, when I see you, you're a beacon of light that is really here to help so much in a massive way. And it's such an honor to be able to just weave with you and share your message. I have so much love for you, Gaia. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being pure light. Thank you for weaving in such a way that every sentence that you craft together is felt. And that's why we keep having you back on because it's such a powerful transmission every single time. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to keep doing these and hopefully meet in person very, very soon.
Thank you so much, Emilio, for holding the space for all of us and just shining your light. The number of people that reach out to me about you and how much they respect you and what you're doing. You are leaving a very, very big legacy for people. And thank you for inviting me to be a part of that.
Thank you for being a part of that. And I think it's our legacies are more powerful when shared. So when they come together with the legacies of others, it's like an avalanche of unstoppable energy. So thank you for saying yes and continuing to show up in such a powerful way. Thank you.